Was the Prime Minister told about Beijing targeting candidates in the 2019 or 2021 elections?
The Honourable Minister for Public Safety.
Speaker, as my honourable colleague has heard on many occasions now, we had independent panels look at allegations of foreign interference. He can also be assured, and all members can, that we also have the RCMP and CSIS who are eyes wide open when it comes to potential threats of foreign interference. We're giving the community all the tools they need, the resources that they need so that we can protect all of our institutions, including elections, Mr. Speaker. That's something that all members should share as a common objective. Thank you.
For Wellington, Halton Hills.
Mr. Speaker, CSIS also said in those briefings that the government's response to foreign interference be, quote, grounded in transparency and sunlight, end quote, so that foreign interference is, quote, exposed to the public, end quote. This government's response to our legitimate questions has been anything but. They've stonewalled us for weeks. Commissioner Luckey said yesterday that the RCMP has investigations into broad foreign interference, including interference in democratic processes. Simple question, do these investigations include the 2019 or 2021 elections?
Hear, hear.
The Honourable Minister for Intergovernmental Affairs.
Mr. Speaker, my colleague is an experienced member of this House. He sat in a cabinet. He would know that ministers don't answer questions on details of specific police investigations in the House of Commons. What governments do, Mr. Speaker, what governments do is put in place the appropriate processes to ensure that our democratic institutions are protected from foreign interference, a concern that all members of this House share. Exactly. And as my colleagues have pointed out, Mr. Speaker, we took steps that previous Conservative governments didn't think they should take to put in place the appropriate mechanisms to ensure the integrity of our elections, and that's exactly what we did.
Well, member for St. Albert, Edmonton.
Yesterday, we learned from the RCMP and Commissioner that there are ongoing RCMP investigations into Beijing's election interference in 2019. The Leader of the Opposition has asked a very straightforward and specific question to the Prime Minister, one he has repeatedly refused to answer, and that is whether he was briefed about election interference by Beijing. Election interference. Canadians deserve transparency. So again, election interference by Beijing, was the Prime Minister briefed, yes or no?
The Honourable Minister.
My colleague and all members in this chamber can be assured of the integrity of the 2019 and 2021 elections because we had independent panels who looked with great detail, great attention at documents, who interviewed witnesses and confirmed the result, Mr. Speaker. And more importantly, we will continue to give all of the tools that are necessary to our independent police community, to our independent national security community, so that they can protect all democratic institutions, so that Canadians can have their voices reflected in our governments. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Mégantic-L'Érable. Yesterday, at a request of a parliamentary committee looking at foreign interference in our elections, the RCMP refused to provide documents in its possession because those documents could compromise undergoing investigations. CSIS was a little bit more open. We have a document, a top-secret document called Briefing for the Prime Minister on Foreign Interference. There are only two people who deny foreign interference, the Prime Minister and the Chinese spokesperson. Nobody believes either one of them. When will the Prime Minister tell the whole truth? The Honourable Minister of Intergovernmental Affairs. Mr. Speaker, my colleague knows very well that the government was very transparent. The colleague across the way is referring to documents that a committee of the House requested. Mr. Speaker, the good news is that there is also a committee of parliamentarians which is specifically tasked with looking at this kind of issue when it comes to intelligence and national security. And I invite my colleague to ensure, as we will, that this committee, which is appropriate, will be able to look at these documents and will have access to all necessary information.
Member for Churchill, Kiwatnuk, Aski.